expanding the choices people have to lead lives that they value. Understanding how development impacts our environment or social forces will give us insight on how to reshape our future. At CreaBiz, it's our responsibility to show that creativity and innovation can solve our society's problems today and provide the best solution. We foster creativity for prosperity. Let's walk toward the future, beyond boundaries, with us.
Halo Pak Arfan, ngapunten Pak, boleh saya dan Dr. Riko dijadikan co-host?
Oke.
Terima kasih Pak.
Bentar. Okay, it's done.
Thank you Pak Arfan. Hi Dr. Riko, so you're now the co-host and then you can share screen your PowerPoint yourself.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. So let me introduce very quickly. So welcome for Dr. Riko and welcome to Dr. Arfan. Dr. Riko from Wageningen University and Dr. Arfan from ITS. So Dr. Riko and Dr. Arfan will be the speakers. The first speaker will be Dr. Riko, and then following that, Dr. Arfan will be the speaker too. So yeah, so Dr. Arfan, would you mind to rename yourself with speaker 2 and an underscore and then your name? Thank you so much. And for the committee, so go ahead to replay the CreaBiz video and then I will start the guest lecture. Thank you.
There's a famous saying that to think creatively is all about to think outside the box. At CreaBiz, there is no box. We believe that consistency is no longer enough to do business in this competitive digital age. At CreaBiz, we teach, learn, invent, design, manage, collaborate, innovate with businesses beyond those boundaries, beyond limitation, beyond the box. The Faculty of Creative Design and Digital Business, also known as CreaBiz, is one of the faculties at ITS Surabaya. ITS researchers collaborate with local, national and international institutions to drive further exploration for contributing to global development and advancing humanity. CreaBiz is settled on a credible and sustainable innovative ecosystem.
The faculty CreaBiz was founded to translate ideas into actions, bridging technology to humanity and moving our imagination toward a better future. We see different creative perspectives and approach to solve the problem, to be a solution, and to improve as we design, build, and manage.
Industrial design is an integrated approach which combines aesthetics, ergonomics, sustainability, manufacturing, and mechanics to solve product-related problems. Our digital laboratory is oriented to integrate digital technology and design process for the creation of new and innovative products. Meanwhile, in the Proto Model Laboratory, we explore materials, prototyping using modern and digital technology and engineering in the early stage production to be tested. We believe in a principle that great design in interior space will improve quality of life. These spaces should be aesthetic, functional, safe, comfortable, and sustainable. Our lab expertise in the optimization of space performance in buildings, the development of spatial-themed extended reality technology, building information modeling-based interior design, and intelligent technology practice. Visual is one of the most powerful mediums to communicating ideas. Visual communication works transcend beyond words and language, directly breach human cognitive processes by controlling color, symbols, images, or even movement. We have now reached the point where the power of technology touches every corner in everyday life. We acknowledge the need for future managers, leaders, and professionals who can manage this power. We prepare future business leaders to organize, analyze, direct, and evaluate various business operations with an effective strategy and fundamental knowledge of business, entrepreneurship, marketing, and human resource management. We apply critical thinking, science, and technology to discuss what best solution to give in the global business environment. Development is about expanding the choices people have to lead lives that they value. Understanding how development impacts our environment or social forces will give us insight on how to reshape our future. At CreaBiz, it's our responsibility to show that creativity and innovation can solve our society's problems today and provide the best solution. We foster creativity for prosperity. Let's walk toward the future, beyond boundaries, with us.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Development Talk, and this time is Development Talk Volume 4. And then today we are not only very special because of this month is the holy month of Ramadan, but also this Development Talk Volume 4 is providing you with international guest lecture in collaboration between ITS Surabaya and also Wageningen University, the Netherlands. So today, Monday, 26 April 2021, I know that most of you guys are fasting, and thank you so much for coming, for attending this international guest lecture. And then I hope it is very useful for you for expanding your knowledge and also get inspired from our outstanding speakers, Dr. Rico and also Dr. Arfan. So with me today, my name is Yunistia Ningsih. I am a lecturer in ITS at Development Studies Department, Faculty of Creative Design and Digital Business in ITS. So There are several rules that you need to follow to join this international guest lecture. The first rules is that this event will be fully recorded. So be in mind that we ask your permission to record this development talk volume 4. And then I would like to kindly ask you to rename yourself with name and then underscore your organization. And then third rules is that you may ask any question directly to the speakers or to me, the moderators. And there are two rules. The first option that you can choose is that send your question through Zoom's chat box with the format name underscore your institution or organization. For example, you're from ITS or you're from SM High School A or from your where you work, or if you don't work or you are not in school, and then you can fulfill, or you can just escape. You just name and then name of the speaker and then your question. And then the second choice is that you can send your question through this link below. The committee will share the link to you with, on the chat box and also on a YouTube channel, because now we also live stream in YouTube channel of study development or development studies of ITS. And then the fourth rule is that during the interactive Q&A session, you may use the feature raise hand, and then I will call your name, and then you may ask a question in live. And then the fifth rule is that if you experience any technical problem, please chat to the committee. So you can, choose the participants box in here, and then you can search the committee, and then you can ask any question if you have any technical problem. And then rundown of our development talk volume 4 today is that we should start earlier on 14:55 Jakarta time, but be a bit late, but I think there's no problem. We will speed it up a little bit. So we already watched the Creabis video, which is shared by the committee. And then our second agenda is the opening by myself, which I did just now. And then after that, we will sing together Indonesia Raya, the national anthem of Indonesia, and also Hymn ITS. And then after that, we have opening speech from Mr. Imam Baihaki, ST, MSc, PhD. He is the Dean of Faculty of Creative Design and Digital Business, ITS, but he will be represented by the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Creative Design and Digital Business. And then after that, we have presentation. We have the first speaker is Dr. Ikuli from Wageningen University and Research in the Netherlands. And then the second speaker is Dr. Afan Fahmi from ITS. And then after that, you may ask any question, and then you already know what to do. You can choose the two options that I already mentioned earlier. And then we have like 30 minutes maximum for the Q&A session. And then after that, I will conclude the guest lecture, and then I will close the guest lecture. So hopefully we will end the guest lecture by 17 p.m. Jakarta time. So now it's time to sing Indonesian anthem, Indonesia Raya together. And then please get ready in your position there at your home or at your office or anywhere you are. And please mute yourself so that we want to sing Indonesia Raya peacefully together. So please, the committee, please play the Indonesia Raya. Thank you so much. Yeah, so now it's time to get to know the speakers, and I'm sure that you are very excited to meet our outstanding speakers. The first speaker is Dr. Ikuli. He is from Wageningen University, the Netherlands. And then after that, we have Dr. Arfan Fahmi as an MPD. He is the head of Development Studies Department in ITS, and he is also the lecturer in Development Studies in ITS as well. I will introduce you in a complete details, but after the opening speech. So just wait a little bit, and I would also would like to announce you guys that we have 3 door prizes. It's very interesting door prizes. It's very surprising. So you should participate by giving the best questions. So ask any question that you have. You may ask 5 questions or any questions that you have in mind. And then the committee will pick just 3 best questions, and then we will have we will deliver 3 door prizes to you directly to your home, and it's free. You don't have to pay anything. So I'm sure that you guys are already excited now. And this session, I would like to have a very warm welcome for our opening speech. It's supposed to be Mr. Imam Baihaki, SCM, CS PhD, the Dean of Faculty of Graphic Design and Digital Business in ITS, but unfortunately he cannot join us today. So I would like to have a very warm welcome for the Vice Dean from Faculty of Creative Design and Digital Business in ITS, Mrs. Elia Zulaikha, SD, MSN, and PhD. Hello, Ibu.
Hello, Bu Yuni.
Hello, Ibu. How are you today?
Very good. Thank you.
That's fantastic. And thank you so much for joining us today, Ibu. And it's really an honor for us that you would like to join with us. And thank you so much. And the seat and time is for you, Ibu. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Yuni Setyaningsih. Good afternoon, Dr. Ikuli, Dr. Arfan Fahmi, Ibu Windiani, and all honored participants here. I'm Elia Zulaikha, the Vice Dean of Faculty of Creative Design and Digital Business. Firstly, please accept our apologies because our Dean of CreaBiz faculty cannot join at the moment because of another meeting he must attend. But he sent his best wishes for you and all of participants here, and hope that this event will go smoothly and successfully. And secondly, please accept our best thanks to Dr. Ikuli and also Pak Arfan Fahmi for your willingness to share knowledge and experience in this event. Today's topic is not only interesting, but also promising hope to a better future. There is a quote says that farming is a profession of hope. Food is human's basic needs, so it is essential to support farmers when they are struggle to provide food for us. So this is in line with ITS tagline, which is advancing humanity. It is also in line with our faculty tagline, technology for prosperity. And because of the digitalization era coming earlier because of COVID, so this is the challenge for us to do something for others, including farmers. The development study ITS is always at the front line to fight for the humanity. Therefore, we fully support this event. Finally, we hope it will be a fruitful afternoon, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibu, for the opening speech, and thank you again for joining us today and giving a very warm welcoming speech, and thank you so much for that. And I hope that you enjoyed the guest lecture, this Development Talk Volume 4. Thank you, Ibu. So, ladies and gentlemen, after the opening speech, I would like to directly introduce you, as I promised before, I would like to introduce Dr. Ikuli as our first speaker. He lives in Wageningen, the Netherlands, and his current position is Assistant Professor, Communication for Development and Intercultural Learning in Wageningen University and Research, the Netherlands. Center for Integrative Development Section, Communication, Philosophy, and Technology Research Group Knowledge, Technology, and Innovation. And speaking about qualification and places of study, in 1991, he took MA in Cultural Anthropology in University of Nijmegen, the Netherlands. And then in 1991, he also took MA in Communication Studies, University of Nijmegen, the Netherlands. And in 2000, he took his PhD in Social Science in Catholic University of Brussels in Belgium. And his areas of interest or expertise are in communication for development, international and intercultural communication, also media studies and social anthropology, and qualitative social science research. Then speaking about his career he was the junior lecturer in International and Development Communication, Institute for Mass Communication, Catholic University of Nijmegen, the Netherlands. And also he is the assistant lecturer and PhD researcher in Catholic University Brussels in Belgium. And he also have lots of projects around the world. And then one of his project he will share with us today in his presentation. And he also have lots of publications. I would, if you are interested, you can contact me or contact Dr. Ikuli directly if you are curious about this publication, because it's very a lot. And yeah, so maybe that's a little bit about his introduction from him. And then after that, I will also introduce our second speaker, Dr. Arfan Fahmi. He's the head of Department of Development Studies here in ITS in Kreabis Faculty. And speaking about his education, he took English Language and Literature Department in Airlangga University or UNER in Indonesia, Surabaya. And he also took a PG Cert program in Business Communication, Department of Small Business and Retail Management, Hogeschool Holland, Diemen, the Netherlands. And he also took a PG Cert program in TESOL, Educative Faculty in Faculty Amsterdam, the Netherlands. He took also master degree in graduate program of English education at State University of Malang, Indonesia. And he also took a doctorate degree in graduate program of English education at State University of Malang, Indonesia. He's now working in Department of Development Studies, ITS campus in Surabaya, specifically in Keputih Sukolilo, Surabaya. So if you also interested to talk directly to Dr. Afan, please feel free to contact him via email, or he will, maybe he will share later about his contact detail if he may, to be reachable and contactable with you. So thank you, Dr. Rico and Dr. Arfan. And then without waiting any longer, I would like to have the seat and time for our first speaker, Dr. Ikuli. He will give a presentation on communication for development, the case of the Digital Farmer Field School. So Dr. Ikuli, the time is for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yuni. I will start with trying to share my screen now. I hope you can see it now. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
perfectly.
Okay, so the title of my presentation for today is Communication for Development, the case of the Digital Farmer Field School. And I'm very happy that, that I was invited to give this talk and to share some of the work we are doing in the Netherlands, but also in other parts of the world, for instance, in Sulawesi in Indonesia. First, where am I at the moment? Well, this is the campus. Uni will recognize it probably because you spent some time here. This is our campus, but at the moment I'm not there. I'm at home. We are not allowed to go to campus and to teach on campus. Hopefully that will change in the coming weeks or months. But at the moment, not much is happening on campus, and everybody is at home. But for the talk of today, I wanted to talk about communication for development, and then especially zoom in on ICTs for development, so on information and communication technology for development. And this is a very simple definition of what ICT for D actually is. And what is especially interesting in this definition is what I underlined here. And it says it aims to help in international development by bridging the digital divide and providing equitable access to technologies. So in fact, it's a normative decision, right? We want to provide equitable access to technologies. All right, so what I want to do is just start with a brief background of what communication for development is and what ICTs for development means. And then maybe also zoom in a little bit on learning, right? So how can ICTs support learning processes, and then especially in rural areas? And for that, I want to zoom in on a case of what we call the Digital Farmer Field School. And we have developed different digital farmer field schools on tablet. It's a tablet-based training model on tablets. We started developing it in Sierra Leone in Africa, and then went to Mongolia and did some research there and built some prototypes there. And at the moment we are working in Rekan in Sulawesi. But first, some background. So before we go to the case of the Digital Farmer Field School, I want to tell you something about communication for agricultural development or communication for rural development, and zoom in on ICTs for learning. What lessons can we draw from rural learning? This is the overall perspective that we have in Wageningen in the Netherlands. We also have a program on development studies, and also, of course, zoom in on different types of technologies. But the overall perspective on development and technology is the following. So technology is in fact a tool, right? It's a tool to reach change and development through communication. So our approach is first look at development issues, first look at change issues, and then look at how communication can be useful in development issues. And then finally, as a third option, look at technologies. How can technologies help? And sometimes we end up with technologies not being useful at all. Right, so then we don't use technologies because we first look at development issues, and then maybe other forms of communication which do not require technologies are more appropriate in certain situations. So that's the overall perspective on communication for development. This is a publication we did some years ago. I think it's 5 or 6 years ago. It's 2015, indeed. It's an article published in Communication Theory, and it's entitled Disciplines in the Field of Communication for Development and Social Change. So what we did in this study is try to get a grip on the field of communication for development and social change. And what we did is the following. This is giving you an overview of what we did in the article. You can read things in more detail in the article if you're interested, but I just want to give you a glimpse of what is in the article. Right? So we tried to map the field of communication for development. So we looked at key concepts and practices. Right? We looked at the disciplines that are there in this field, and we looked at future imperatives. So what should be the focus in the future within this field? So some key concepts are these: normative concepts, contextual concepts. We looked at the different strategies and methodologies and methods and techniques that are used in this field, and try to give an overview of that. And the same we did with the subdisciplines and the thematic disciplines. So strategic communication is there, crisis communication, risk communication. And of course, we're working in different fields, like in agriculture or in health or in environment. And we have different fields and areas. So it's an overview article. But for the future imperatives, so what came out of that overview is actually this. These are the conclusions of that article. So what should we focus on in the future? And one of these focuses of the future is that we should address learning, education, and knowledge exchange. And so a basic conclusion of this research was that learning and education are central in development studies. So we zoomed in on learning and wrote another article on ICTs for learning. So what we did in this study is that we tried to understand which different approaches to learning there are, like social learning, experiential learning, collaborative learning, transformative learning, visual learning, intercultural learning, distance learning, right? So different forms of learning were reviewed in relation to information and communication technologies. So how do they relate to each other? That was the focus of this article. And again, 3 different main conclusions came out of this study. The first thing we learned while doing this study is that learning as a process itself is a process of change. It's a process of development, right? So learning is actually communication. We have these communicative interactions here, which includes the learning process and the learning outcomes. And then you have impacts of that learning. But learning itself is a form of development. Right? The second thing we learned from this study is the added value of the group. So in many cases, and also in the case of the farmer field schools, because that's what we are going to talk about later, is that group learning in a group gives you an added value. You can learn from each other, you can learn together, and also you can reflect on your own learning. And that's the third conclusion. So the centrality of experiences and reflexivity. This reflexive learning or experiential learning is a very central issue in learning. And that connects to the group learning because you can also learn from each other's experiences. Okay, so we build it on this as an entry point for studying farmer field schools and trying to transform this to digital farmer field schools. So what I will do in the time that I have left is review these digital farmer field schools that we developed in 3 areas. So it all started in Sierra Leone a couple of years ago. So I will start with reviewing what we did in Sierra Leone and then move to Mongolia, where we also implemented and developed first developed and then implemented a digital farmer field school with the herders in Mongolia, and then have a brief look at what we are doing at the moment in Sulawesi and Reka. But this is where it all started, and the situation, how it started, is quite similar to the situation that we have now. It started during the Ebola epidemic in Sierra Leone, and at that time, farmers were not allowed to gather. Right? They were not allowed to gather with more than 5 people at the same time. So a lot of trainings, a lot of learning in that area, and in this case about cocoa certification, a lot of trainings were not possible because people were not allowed to come together. So we were asked to look into communication technology, information and communication technology, and how that could be useful for these trainings. Right? So what we developed is this digital farmer field school, a tablet-based learning strategy with different parts integrated in the tablet itself, right? So you could take pictures of diseases in plants or whatever the topic is, right? And you can watch some films, informational films that we put on there. Of course, you can listen to some music, but there's market information. And this is the back office. So Musa and Joyce are the back office. So with this tablet, you can also make phone calls. Yeah? There's a model in this tablet that you can call the back office and talk to the people for information. Of course, you can also do that with a separate phone. Right? Okay, so there are other parts here in this tablet, and of course in the local language Creole. These are the extension officers of Jula Consultancy, and they worked together with us in developing this digital farmer field school. This is a report we wrote, and if you're interested, you can download it from the website, which is somewhere in the PowerPoint later on. But in the report, and there's also an article published in a journal. In this report, you can read about the design principles. So what is the basis for making this? So we have 3 areas in which we were looking for design criteria. So what backs up the design of such a digital farmer field school? So we looked at the learning principles of farmer field schools. We looked at what responsible innovation is, right? And we looked at different types of access from Dijk's digital technology model, different types of access. So first of all, these farmer field school learning principles. We already saw that its group learning is quite important. And the back office is quite important in farmer field schools. That's also something I told you about earlier. And this third point is about systems thinking, actually. So the stakeholders, and especially the farmers and everybody who is involved in this learning, should know about the system as a whole and what their position is in the larger value chain, in the larger system. So that's also something that the digital farmer field school pays attention to. Then these are the responsible innovation criteria, right? So these are the 4 criteria: anticipation, reflexivity, this reflexive learning is coming back, inclusion, so diversity is recognized in the design itself, and responsiveness is alert to the creation of new interdependencies and agenda-setting mechanisms. So if you are introducing a new type of technology, like the digital farmer field school is, you should be aware that such a device is also creating new interdependencies or is creating a new agenda right? And is creating new power relations also. So what are the consequences of that? Because as a researcher or as somebody who's working in development, you are responsible for that. So responsiveness is also one of the criteria here. And then the third area is about access. So Van Dijk makes a distinction between 3 different types of access. Motivational access, so how motivated are you to use the new technology? Material access, is it available? Can we have these tablets available in an agricultural extension system? And do the people have the skills to operate it? And do we need trainings, right, for operating these kinds of devices? So these 3 areas were backing up the design and the development of the Digital Farmer Field School in Sierra Leone. Here is an image of the testing of the device and how it works with the farmer groups in Sierra Leone. And maybe it's interesting to watch a short clip about what we actually did in Sierra Leone. That's 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So I will share my screen now, and then Uni will share the screen to show this film.
By then, there was a bylaw that do not allow any gathering. And during that time, there was a restriction of movement. So that led us, we are not being taking any training.
And our mandate is to ensure that 30,000 cocoa farmers get certified and linked to the external cocoa market. So the idea of digital farmer field school came into discussion. The first field visit was in Bonobo. One of them said, so how can we put on this tablet? The other one says, it's just like a phone. So I saw the amazement on their face, especially when they saw the home screen and they saw a character which, especially for the ladies, that they were able to identify with. This character being the Fatu character. They were able to see that relationship could be formed between an external expert who can give them the necessary technical advice that they will need. Some of the skepticism that were raised by them was the area of charging the mobile and also affordability of such devices. Farmers are willing, capable, and will accept any innovation that is geared toward improving the quantity and the quality of the produce that they produce. Those days in the back office made me realize that farmers do have a lot of questions to ask. I was very, very much amazed and surprised to hear some of them coming from those farmers. They know what they want and they know what good agricultural practices should be about. Our approach has always been direct contact with farmers. Even if this unpleasant situation ever appear again in the country with regards to the Ebola, remote training could be conducted. Such type of innovation and development might encourage some of these youths who are leaving their plantations, for greener pastures, in the big cities. So maybe come back and assist, their aging fathers and mothers. I think is an innovation and is worth investing on. be it financial or technical.
Okay, thank you for showing that. I will share my screen again. Yeah, I hope you can see it again now. Let's go to Mongolia. So after Sierra Leone, we got invited to also look into a digital form of field school and how it can operate with the herders in Mongolia. And to show you how important it is to look at local situations, local conditions, I want to explain first to you how the information exchange system is working in Mongolia. Because if you're coming in with this kind of technology, you first need to know what is there and how this technology can fit in somewhere, right? So there was a Swiss organization trying to reform the information exchange system in Mongolia and establish a program, a master program at the university in Ulaanbaatar, in the capital city, to train these master trainers. Right, so a whole master program of 2 years was set up at the university to train extension officers, but also to train these trainers to train other people, to train the facilitators at a regional level. And these facilitators at the regional level, they were in contact with the herders themselves. Right, it's a huge country, and these people are spread out across the country, and these herders they travel around, but the system that was set in place was that these herder advisors played a quite central role in getting the information to the herders, right? And these herder advisors, they act as a translator or a social actor between the master trainers, the facilitators, and the herders. And here you see this white man in the middle is a herder advisor, and he is a volunteer. So he was elected during a meeting to be a trainer for the other herders, right? Or an advisor for the other herders. And this person is, of course, very motivated and very respected in the community and has long years of experience. So this herder advisor travels around, used to travel on a horse, of course, but now in cars and on motorbikes. But he travels around with this information bag. And in this information bag, there's a lot of information, right? So a lot of leaflets or other training materials, instruction books, interactive material. And this bag is regularly updated with new material at a herder service center. So this herder advisor is traveling around with this bag and then leaves the bag at a family or at a certain community, and leaves again, comes back after a week or after maybe 2 weeks, picks up the bag again and brings it back to these herder service centers, right? I'll come to this. These are the herder service centers where all the information, as you can see, all the information is there. There is some connectivity, and the bag is updated on a regular basis in these centers. So the idea was to indeed also develop a digital farmer field school on a tablet. Here you see a prototype on a phone, on a Samsung phone. But the idea is to put it on a tablet and have this tablet travel in the rucksack of the herder advisor of this in this information bag. And the advantage is that you don't need to have this tablet connected all the time to the internet, right? So these herder service centers, they have a connection to the internet. So if the tablet is coming back to this center, it can be updated again, and maybe it's not working again, so it can be fixed at this center and then goes in the back again and travels to these herders, right? So it does have a phone function, but in some areas in Mongolia, you have no connectivity at all, right? So, but these herder service centers have, so it can be updated or fixed in these places. Okay, so a tablet-based DFFS is the result of a long design process, and that's what I want to focus on in the remaining time. And it's a collaborative process making this, right? You see all these sketches and these drawings, and finally you have it on a tablet. So also here, let's have a short clip. It's only 1.5 minutes to show you a bit about how we did it in Mongolia. Okay, so I will stop sharing this screen again, and then Uni will share her screen. Okay, thank you, Uni. So we are back in the PowerPoint, and we are going now to Rekan in Sulawesi, where we are developing a digital farmer field school at the moment in a project which is coordinated by Leah and Luz. And they are actually providing trainings online every Thursday. At the moment, there is a training going on with the extension officers and with the farmers in Rekan to develop a digital farmer field school. And again, what I want to stress here is that a tablet-based DFFS is the result of a long design process. So we're already working there now for almost 2 years, and still are in the phase that we are designing it. It's not operational at the moment, but we're getting there, and it's a very slow process because you have many different stakeholders involved, and yeah, you need to make it appropriate to the local situation, and that takes time. So what we do is that we make a distinction between two design phases, and it's very common for those people who are into design and ICT design. It's very common to make a distinction between these two types of design, and I'm not sure if people are in the audience who are aware of this, but it's important to see that the interface, and I've showed you a couple of images of what a digital farmer field school looks like. So I show you the screen and I show you the interface, right? And of course that interface needs to be designed, right? But another phase of design is about this user experience. And this user experience, and here you can see some characteristics of user experience design. It's about it's about testing, it's about prototyping, it's the content. I mean, you can see the interface itself, and it shows that there are films in a certain part, but the films themselves also need to be developed, and what kind of content needs to be there in these films, and what kind of structure is there, what kind of strategy should be behind it. So all this, so how does the user use the digital farmer field school? All that research should go into the interface design itself, right? So that's why we make a distinction between the two. And to show you how important that is, this is a self-test for Corona or for COVID-19, right? So this is the current design of this self-test, and this is the interface that you are seeing. And there's an S here, and there's a T, and there's a C. So if you are not familiar with these technical terms, you probably think that the C stands for COVID or for Corona. So if there's a red part here with the C, you think, okay, the test says that I have Corona, that I'm positive, right? But that's not at all what this is telling us. The S stands for sample. If you see this improved design on this side, the S stands for sample, the T for test, and the C for control. So the suggestion is here, do not only put the letters here, but the full words. Then it's clear that the C stands for control, right? And that the sample should go here. So you put a sample here, and then the control part says if the test is valid or not, right? And the test result is given here, actually, right? And this is an invalid test because it says it's red here with the C, so the control is red, so it's an invalid test. So it says invalid here with the test, right? Anyway, this is an example of an interface design that doesn't work, right? So it needs to be redesigned, and the reason that it doesn't work is that there hasn't been done enough research about the user experience and how the user is going to use this device. Right? Okay, so we are doing similar things in Rackham. We're trying to talk about why do we want this digital farmer field school, and who is involved in the architecture, who is involved in the governance. All the district officers are involved, and the head of the district, the Bupati, is involved, and they all work together and want something, have some kind of expectation about the use of the digital pharmacy at school. So the main users are the farmer groups, the farmer groups, the extension officers, and the people surrounding that group. So what experience should the design deliver? That's the question that we are working on in the trainings also at the moment. So the user experience designer explores and analyzes. You need to know about user problems. What problems are there? What needs are there? What kind of expectations are there with the users? And this good user experience design leads to an input for the interface design. Right? And it leads to criteria for making choices. So what should be in, what shouldn't be in, depends on good user experience design. And criteria for the testing should come out. And good user experience is user-centered design. Okay. So we're producing some outputs at the moment. We have 5 deliverables in this user experience design. First of all, we have a baseline report. What is there, and how important are the different aspects of what is actually there. Then we're collecting stories of people, of farmers, and about the daily experiences and how they deal with diseases in their fields, for instance, and what they do with the market. So we collect different stories in this report. And then we have a seasonal calendar. So this consists of photographs, different photographs telling stories about different parts in the year and what's going on in the different seasons. And out of this are coming the design principles. And then we have a confidentiality agreement also that everybody agrees with things being confidential. All right, so this is the cycle from design principles to prototype. And this is where the different reports are located at the moment. So this is about the socio-ecological system analysis. We have the user experience designs in these 2 reports as outputs. And now we're going into this user interface design, but based on these design principles that you see here. And then finally, in the coming months, we hope to go into a prototype and that prototype testing. But what I want to stress and what I want to get across is how much work this is already, this part, getting to know the situation. Okay, so, and then we will go probably into this interface design, and this is already a drawing, a first draft of the Passar here and other parts of the interface of the tablet. Okay, and these are also some people who might feature in this digital farmer field school. We talked about Fatou in Sierra Leone because that name fits in the context of Sierra Leone, and we talked about Musa, and because those are local names. But here in Sulawesi, we talk about Ibu Situ, and Ahmed, who's a farmer. Anyway, this is all in development, and I think this is what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you. I will unshare my screen.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Ikuli, for giving a very outstanding presentation. And then I myself just like imagining myself to be your student again back in Wageningen University several years ago. So it's really, yeah, nostalgic. And thank you so much for always inspiring me. And I believe that the audience here also get inspired by your presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, we together learned that technology is a tool in terms of to reaching change and development through communication. And then we learned from Dr. Rico and his colleagues' projects in Sierra Leone, Mongolia, and Indonesia. So we travel in Africa and then back to Indonesia. So, yeah, so I think it is very useful for us to reflect again about development projects across countries, and then what we can learn from other countries, and maybe we can also apply it in Indonesia. And then, yeah. So thank you, Dr. Rico Lee, for your presentation. And then after that, I would like to give a warm welcome for our home speaker, Dr. Arfan. Hello, Bapak.
Hello,
How are you, Bapak?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, great. So thank you so much, Pak Arfan, for spending time to give a lecture. I believe their presentation was very inspiring, and then I cannot wait to learn from you. And I believe also all the audiences, ladies and gentlemen, there at the home or at the office, also very excited to join and to listen your presentation. So the time is for you, Bapak Arfan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I start my presentation, let me give my deepest appreciation to Dr. Rico Lee for accepting our offer to join this international development talks and also discuss many things about communication for development in many parts of the world. Thank you very much, Dr. Rico Lee. Okay, everyone. So tailoring the connection topic between Dr. Rico Lee and my topics, I see one key word that is very important thing, that is user experience. Let me share my screen. So my topic today is understanding technology acceptance in smart farming. So we have two words here that is becoming the mainstream of my presentation: technology acceptance and smart farming. This is in line with the motto or the tagline of newly published ITS, Advancing Humanity. So with the basis of science and technology, we try to enhance the quality of humanity. In my presentation, I defined several parts. Firstly, I would like to talk about technology acceptance model, Venkatesh 2003, and then the United Theory of Adoption and Use of Technology. We normally call UTAUT. It's very easy to remember UTAUT. And then the third one is the smart farming. After that, I want to show you several part of the words implementing smart farming and how farmers really accept this technology. Firstly is in Korea, factors affecting smart farming in Korea. And then we have sensors in smart farming in Iran, and IoT's Internet of Things in smart farming in Middle Eastern countries. And then lastly, I will close with Situbondo start farming. Situbondo is a district area here near Surabaya. Actually, it's in the eastern part of Surabaya. It's about 2 or 3 hours drive. Let me start with the first one. We have a Venkatesh 2003. It's a long time ago. It is considered the theory of technology acceptance model. In this theory, we have external variable, the variable that really influence how individual or a group of individuals accept new technology. It is really determined by two things. We have perceived usefulness. How useful is the technology for them? And then how do they perceive the ease of use? How easy it is to use. So is it useful and is it easy to use? This is firstly become a major point before we enter to the decision of whether individual or a group of community accept new technology. And two of these create attitudes, and then we have the intention, not really use it, the intention to use. In Bahasa, we have niat. We have technology, and then, okay, this is easy to use, this is very useful for us, and then we decide to, okay, let me try. So we come to this. Wait a minute. So we come to this. Then after that, it actuated by the actual usage of this. So we have a long but a simple way of modeling how individuals or community accept new technology. That was almost 20 years ago. In the later versions, Macintosh have several variables here and also here. So we have vertical and horizontal variables. We call it United Theory of Adoptions and Use of Technology, or UTAUT. Now let me explain one by one. I can first start with the vertical ones. This is not actually the example of smart farming, but this illustration will give us a model how hand tractors can be used instead of cows. Okay, just to make easy for the understanding of UTAUT. This is actually full, and we have, his friend used hand tractors, and he himself still use the conventional ones, and finally we have hand tractors together. Now, with the vertical line at first, at the very top one, we have performance expectancy. This measure the improvement through the use of the system. If you use the system or the device, what kind of improvement that we can make? And secondly, it measures the investment of productivity. Does the crops increase significantly by using this device? Number three, positive impacts on performance. How, if we use this device, how do we feel about the impact of this? And the last one is, it measures usefulness for companies and employees. In this case, the users, the users of it. Do they feel useful to use this device or not? Number two, in vertical line, we have effort efficiency. It measures how easy to use and whether using this device stress-free interactions. If we decide to use device and we get a stressful situation, then why don't you use this device? I think it is useless. Although this is the usefulness is very high, but then if you feel stressful all the time, then why don't you avoid using it? And then the importance of use. How important is it? How is the origin of using such device? In this case, the hand tractor. The next one is social influence. Usefulness for co-workers. Okay. At first, perhaps individual does not want to use this device, but then after seeing his colleague using it and share their experiences, he finally decided to buy and try to use perhaps this device. This is also the influence of the social interaction. If they use by co-workers and encouragement by managers, in this case, perhaps the kepala desa or kepala koperasi, in this case, then give a strong suggestion for them to use hand tractors. The last one is facilitating conditions. This Dr. Rico Lee says on training availability. They have used training. Availability of the system. The system itself can be integrated in that can area or not. Knowledge to operate the system. Knowledge to operate the hand tractors in this case. And good placement within the corporate culture. This is very nice thing. So once we use device, technological device, does it really match with, doesn't really match with the existing culture, the value or norm that the society believe about that process of farming, for example. That is also good to investigate. Now we come to the horizontal line, gender, of course, whether it is favored by male or female, age by ranges, experience, years of experiences. Yeah, as Dr. Rico Lee mentioned, user experiences is very important, and voluntary use of the system. Now, when we see this relation, we start from the gender, for example. Gender is really influenced to the performance expectancy, effort expectancy, and social influence. So which one is the strongest influential factors can be a very nice area of research in certain technology. Age influence the fourth thing here: performance experience, effort expectancy, social influence, and facilitating condition. Users experience here is related to the facilitating conditions, social experience, and effort expectancy. And the last one is voluntarily of use. This one is closely related to social experience because they share, they voluntarily, they are willingly try this technology. And that create behavioral intention. Look at this, we have just intention, niat, okay? Desire to try out the new technology. And then before we come to the use behavior, it really depends on facilitating condition. We have niat, but we don't have any facility, we don't have any training, we don't have any system installed there. We don't have any trainer available all the time. That might be denial. Okay, so once we come to the behavior intentions, facilitating condition play its role here. Now we come to the second part of my presentation, that is smart farming. Smart farming is an emerging concept that refers to managing farms using modern information and communication technologies to increase the quantity and the quality of products while optimizing the human labor required. If you look at this definition, we have increasing quality but decreasing human labor. Okay, so by implementing smart farming, less and less human can get a job in a farmer field. Now, smart farming modules technology is available for present-day farmers. For example, we have sensors, soil, water, light, humidity, temperature management, All those things can be controlled by sensors. And then number 2 is software, specialized software solutions that target specific form types and use case, yeah, on diagnostic IoT platform. We have connectivity, can be LoRa or a cellular phone, mobile technology, so on. The location, you can also in-flight satellites or GPS, robotics technology, autonomous tractors, processing facilities, etc. And also data analytics. Standardized analytics solution, data pipelines for downstream solution, and etc. So that might be the various of technologies offer to be implemented in smart farming. Now, smart farming here we have sensing technology, we have software applications, we have telematic positioning technology, so they know exactly where the precise locations of a particular field and also plants, where the hardware and software system, and also we have data analytics. This, without all of these inclusions of the smart farming, that is the smart farming as we know today. Now, let me stop my screen sharing and play a short video, how smart farming in Vietnam. So at least I don't promote this company who built the system, but then just to give you an understanding and feel that that is smart farming. Okay, it should give us a simulation or illustrations of how smart farming can be implemented in Vietnam. Now let me share and continue my presentations. Okay, now we shall look at how this UTAUT is implemented to measure the acceptance of smart farming in various countries. Number one, we have factors affecting smart farming in Korea, written by Yoon Lim and Park, published in Computers in Human Behavior, 2020. The result shows that the compatibility of technology, financial costs for the organization, and the digital environment change influence the adoption of smart farming. So we have three factors here: compatibility of technology, financial costs, and digital environment. Further, based on the result of the study, practical implication of enhancing the adoption of smart farming in Korea as well. First, the most important factor influencing the adoption of the smart farm in a farming organization is compatibility. So this suggests that smart farms are not technically mature enough to be applied to all farms. The government and related agencies need to differentiate smart farm technologies more specifically to the different type of farm. So every farm has its own characteristic and perhaps require its own technology. Number two, a digital environment change. This has emerged as a major factor affecting smart farm adoption. So the change of digital environment. This suggests that for agriculture, smart farm based on advanced information technologies are seen as both as a threat as well as an opportunity. So the government and related agencies need to provide training for smart farming technology as well as education that highlights the benefit of smart farming. Okay, the training is very important to build up the conducive environment for learning new technology. And the last one is, of course, financial costs. Were also shown to be a major factor affecting smart farm adoption. The government needs to expand financial factors for farming organization to promote the spread of smart farms. So this happened in Korea, where a quite advanced country. The next, we shall look at smart farming in Iran. Is the sensor technology. Among the components that directly affected the adoptions of the sensor technology, the initial thrust had the greatest effect. So the trust when the new technology is being offered to them is very important. How the actor will deliver that, how the method of delivering that message. Furthermore, among the factors that indirectly affected the adoption of conservation measures is the component effort expectancy had the greatest impact. So the effort expectancy. Still remember the UTAUT chart. Now, this article provides valuable findings to agriculture decision makers and companies implementing the census. Yeah, also for researchers, that is the integrating the two model of UTA, and ITM. ITM stands for Initial Trust Model. So in this article, Kalashini, Faridi, and El Biladi published in Land Use Policy 2020, suggests it's not enough to use only UTA, we should also incorporate the TITM model, yeah, to measure how how the trust can be built before actually the new technology being offered to farmers. The next one is what happened in Eastern countries, Middle Eastern countries, sorry. Ranagi and Puruharfar in Technology and Society, volume 63, 2020. They studied and results and accentuated and proved the positive impact of performance expectancy, effort expectancy, social influence, individual factors, and facilitating conditions on the intention to use IoT technology for smart farming. Ultimately, the results were indicating the significant impact of behavioral intentions on the actual uses of IoT technology. Okay, so those are its proof to be true. One of the implications of the research is the for IoT policymakers in the agriculture sector in the Middle East, where water and cultivable land are two valuable but scarce economic resources. As you know that the condition of land and the geographical matters in this part of the world is is severe from water and also cultivated land. Hence, smart farming could not be promoted unless the farmers had fulfilled its prerequisite conditions. So the prerequisite conditions is mentioned also in this article. So we can learn from the three articles that every technology need to be perform analysis of the acceptance through that society in according with the typical farming and also typical farmer culture in that area. I will close my presentation with a short video about Situbondo smart farming here in Indonesia. Let me give you a few seconds to set up the video.
Dalam rangka memperingati Hari Tani 2018, Kementerian Desa Pembangunan Daerah Tertinggal dan Transmigrasi, PT Mitra Sejahtera Membangun Bangsa, serta PT Pos Indonesia bekerja sama dengan pemerintah Kabupaten Situbondo meluncurkan Situbondo Smart Farming 4.0. Smart farming merupakan metode pertanian cerdas berbasis teknologi yang menggunakan teknologi modern untuk meningkatkan kuantitas dan kualitas produk pertanian. Dengan menggunakan teknologi pemindaian tanah, manajemen data, akses GPS, serta teknologi Internet of Things. Beberapa teknologi tersebut adalah drone surveillance, soil and weather sensor, serta agri-drone sprayer. Situbondo Smart Farming juga bekerja sama dengan PT Pos Indonesia menggagas sistem pengangkutan dan pengiriman komoditi unggulan dalam jumlah besar dengan tarif kompetitif, aman, mudah, dan terpercaya. Tentunya dengan beberapa teknologi yang telah hadir dalam Situbondo Smart Farming 4.0 akan terus meningkatkan hasil pertanian yang lebih unggul di Kabupaten Situbondo.
Pak Arfan, sorry, your mic is still muted.
Okay, thank you, Bu Yuni. That's all of my presentations. I hope it can enhance your horizons of how technology acceptance can be implemented in smart farming.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Arfan, for sharing with us a very outstanding presentation. And myself learned a lot from Dr. Arfan about technology acceptance and adoption, its social influence, and facilitating condition. We also learned together that about the challenges and lesson learned from several projects and practical basis from several countries such as in Korea, Middle East, Vietnam, and also Indonesia. And thank you, Pak Arfan. We also learned about theories and practical basis in understanding technology acceptance in smart farming. So yeah, so I believe that all students in ITS and also non-ITS participants here learned a lot from Dr. Arfan about smart farming and technology acceptance. Thank you very much, Papa. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to announce that the attendance list is ready to be shared by the participants. Yes, now it's ready on the chat box at Zoom. So also the committee, please share the attendance list in the YouTube channel so that participants in YouTube also can submit the attendance list and then get the e-certificates for attending this development talk volume 4. So ladies and gentlemen, it's now for the Q&A session. I would like to open questions from you, and then there are several questions already on the Google Docs. So I will just choose first one of the questions. The first question is for Dr. Ikuli. The question is from Solagracia Felinov. He's an ITS student from Development Studies Department. He would like to ask, he said that at the previous presentation about this innovation, ICTS for learning, this innovation was aimed to prepare farmers for cocoa certification. And his question is there any chance for this innovation to be applied in another field outside the cocoa field and also outside the location that you already shared with us? Please, the time is for you, Dr. Rico, to answer.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. In Sierra Leone, it actually was in the field of cocoa certification, and that's a very specific field. But in Mongolia, it was a totally different area that we worked in. Right? In Mongolia, it related to land rights, actually, because the people are traveling around in the country, and although it is a quite large country, there was not enough space anymore for all the animals in the country. So instead of focusing on the quantity of the animals, we tried to have the herders focus on the quality of the animals. So and that's a change of culture. That's a change of thinking, right? That you're aiming at. But yeah, there are all other kinds of information for the animals was of relevance. right? And in Sulawesi, we work with different district offices. So livestock is there, agriculture is there, the environment is there. So and health is also an issue in Sulawesi. So there we try to get different sectors addressed within the DFFS. So yes, the answer is yes. It's suitable for all kinds of sectors.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rico, for your answers. And then I would like to read out questions in the Zoom chat box. And the question is for Dr. Fahmi. The question is from Ibu Endang. The questions there are two questions, Arfan. The first one is, she would like to ask smart farming versus green revolution. And then the second question is, comparing with traditional farming, is smart farming more eco-friendly in protecting environment? So that's the questions. The time is for you, Dr. Arfan.
Thank you very much for the questions, Bu Endang. Well, if I'm not mistaken to interpret the question, is that number one is about is it different or the same with eco or with the green farming? Yeah, and well, smart farming rely on the use of technology, and then of course that's also considered the green. Yeah. So by the terms, it refers to different things. Yeah. Perhaps the smart farming also use fertilizers, which also endangers the soil, yeah, and also the product. But then we can also combine these two concepts into one. They use a smart technology, but they use non-pollutant fertilizers, for example. So in terms of the terminology used, it can lead to different perspective on farming. And the second questions, Yuni, can you repeat the second one, please?
Yeah, the second question is about comparing with traditional farming, and she is asking whether smart farming is more eco-friendly in protecting the environment or not.
Yeah, we have 4 variables we can use to compare the conventional farming and the smart farming. The first one is the use of technology, of course. Second one is the cost. Maybe it's more costly to use. And the third one is perhaps the productivity. Yeah, because we use the efficiency and also the less of human labor in this case. And the last one perhaps is the impact on the environment. Yeah. Again, as long as we use technology as the tool, we can combine both. We use technology, but then we don't use, for example, organic or inorganic fertilizers. We don't spread out pollutants. That's can be done and implemented. It's really depend on the situation where the policymakers in that area use that kind of thing. But of course, studies need to be conducted to see the efficiency of this combination. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Arfan, for the answers. And then the third question, I would like to give the time for Dr. Rico again. And then the question is from Ibu Linggar. She is from ITS. She asks, what consequences does the current conception of science and the technological development have for the way of life today and the society, especially for food scarcity during this pandemic? And then she also asked what the policy makers should do regarding these conditions.
Oh, thank you very much for that question. That's of course a very, very broad question, but I do think that things are changing, and yeah, you already see the way we are communicating at the moment, right? That yeah, we depend a lot on this, yeah, these new information and communication technologies, and this is the way we are teaching at the moment, and this is the way we are having our meetings at the moment, and that kind of changed in a radical way, right? And we are learning from it, because now we're already saying that maybe we can have meetings in this form, or in a blended form in the future, right? That people don't need to travel that much anymore, right? Maybe I would have traveled to Indonesia at this moment in time, and be there. But this is also a way of communicating and getting information across. So I do think that that things will change. But on the other hand, I also would like maybe to stress again that technology is only a tool, right? And that we need to look at every single situation as a unique situation, and see if technology or a certain type of technology actually fit that situation, right? And yeah, maybe we should focus indeed more on this co-designing of of innovations in general. And maybe we will not end up with technologies. Maybe the technology that we are using at the moment is perfect, right? And maybe we should use that technology that is already there in a different way, and not go for a new technology, right? So, but that depends. It all depends on the local situation that you are trying to influence or intervene in.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rico, for the answers. And I would like to remind for the audience, please submit your attendance form so that we can send you the e-certificate, and also the presentation from Dr. Rico and also Dr. Arfan to your email. So please don't forget to submit it, and then we will only send the certificates and the materials to you that submit the attendance list. And also, I would like to remind for all the participants, you still have the last chance to ask questions and the opportunity to win 3 door prizes, very interesting door prizes. So don't miss it out. And I would like to read out a question for Dr. Arfan again. And the question is from Bilkis Ainia. She is from ITS. Her question is, the success of agriculture can be supported by appropriate technology and smart farming, but implementation in rural areas in Indonesia is still many of farmers who are not able to take advantage of this technology. The fact is that the farmer in rural areas do not have large capitals. So then what is the right methods to provide equal opportunities, especially for the poor farmers? The time is for you to answer, Dr. Arfan.
Thank you very much for good questions, Bilkis and Nia. We are waiting for the policymakers to do this, let's say, a breakthrough, to this kind of things. But we cannot actually in place of implementing directly the smart farming. We have to study in certain village or in certain area. Maybe it's not on the basis of the territory, but on the basis of culture, whether cultural values of certain community can accept this kind of technology. We should study that. And then the result of the study will give a recommendation what kind of technology is appropriate for them. Whether they want to accept the technology, it's another study. And then we should provide training We should provide facilitations, environments to do that. And of course, the capital is not low. The capital is very high. And that's why we need to ask venture capitals or bank or government programs, municipal programs to have such thing in a particular area, like in Situbondo. The Bupati, the municipality leaders ask PT Pos Indonesia to involve in as a distribution. But then they educate farmers, they use this kind of technology in some way. So that is also the sample of using it. And it needs time, really. It needs time to accept that kind of technology. Okay, maybe for millennial farmers, because it's increasingly demanding for millennials to go to the village again, to work on their soil as a farming. For millennial farmers who are familiar with technology, I think it is a fully advantageous situation for them to adopt the technology. And if you search on the websites or YouTube, there are a lot of examples of millennial farmers can implement that. But then normally they work as individuals. They work as the corporation. Now it's time for the government, the local government here, to study and search for formulation, how to implement this. And again, without avoiding or you should consider the cultural value around the community. Thank you, Wilkes. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Arfan, for the answer. And last question I would like to read is from Pak Hermanto. He asks, nowadays city residents are interested in farming around their limited space in their house. They do so just to spend their time to compensate their busy and boring life during COVID-19 pandemic without enough knowledge of farming. So what do you suggest for them in order to get much benefit of that urban farming for them and environment in general? So this question is both for Dr. Rico and also Dr. Arfan, and I would like to ask a closing statement to Dr. Rico and also Dr. Arfan after answering the questions. So the time is for you, maybe Dr. Rico first and then Dr. Arfan. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much, Yuni, and thank you very much for that question on urban farming. Urban farming is indeed very popular, and personal farming, individual farming is also very popular in this in this pandemic time. But I do think that what you are referring to in this question is kind of small scale subsistence farming, right? We're not talking about farmer groups and sharing information with a large group of farmers and providing large-scale trainings in various districts. But yeah, I think there is a lot of information out there on farming already. I mean, yeah, we have access to the internet. We can find a lot of information there, and I think it's personal. It's personal, yeah, in the sense, how much time do you want to spend? How sustainable would you approach the whole aspect of farming? So I'm not sure if I have a good answer to this question, actually, but I do find urban farming an interesting development. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Rico, thank you. And maybe a closing statement?
A closing statement from my side will be to emphasize this idea of responsible innovation again. I mean, we've been talking a lot about technology being appropriate in certain situations. And this idea of responsible innovation talks about inclusiveness. The previous question was also about how do we include farmers in rural areas or poor farmers in this all this technological development. So responsible innovation is also about thinking in terms of inclusion and thinking in terms of anticipation and being responsible for the future generation also. Right? So it's also a way of thinking about technology and using technology. It's not only about the technology being there and accepting the technology of being there. It's also about co-designing this technology and making it fit to the people who are actually going to use it. So maybe that as a closing statement. Thank you, Uni.
All right, thank you, Dr. Rico, for the answers and also your closing statement. And now the time is for you, Dr. Arfan, to answer the question as well as the closing statement.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bu Yuni and Pak Hermanto for the questions. Urban farming is getting more and more popular during the pandemic periods because people are seeking for something that they can do at home and challenge with new things. And we don't talk about the production or mass production of that kind of results, except for the willingness and also the easiness to do such urban farming, just to fulfill the happiness of the individual urban farmer, for example. Make it efficiently, at least it can be consumed at home and with a healthy food, and also give us a more proteins, some additional nutritious methods for us when the pandemic is underwent. The closing statement of this is that it's true that the acceptance of new technology, especially in farming area, cannot be implemented just it is. We need to look at the characteristic of the society, the characteristic of the culture there, and also the characteristic of technology. So using UTAUT or TIM or ITM is only a tool to look at how appropriate technology can fit into the society, farmer society in a rural area, to have a mass production, to increase their productivity and also their quality of crops. And that can be case by case, because in a particular area where a certain technology is really appropriate for that, but in other area it can be denied because of some cultural values, for example. That's my closing statement. So we have to be aware of implementing new technology, unless we have to redesign, reorganize, and also reshaping the technology to fit in the requirement of the society. Thank you, Winnie.
Thank you, Dr. Arfan, for the answers and also the closing statement. So that's all for the Q&A session, ladies and gentlemen. And the next session is that I would like to present for the certificates of appreciation for Dr. Ikuli, and then this session will be led by Dr. Arfan. The time is for you, Dr. Arfan.
Thank you, Bu Yuni. Dr. Ricoli, on behalf of Institute Technology 10 November, I express my deepest gratitude and appreciation for your sharing and also inspiring thoughts on development talk 04 this time. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Arfan, for presenting the certificate of appreciation for Dr. Ikuli, and hopefully that ITS and Wageningen University and Research to the Netherlands and collaborate for the next opportunity. And please, Dr. Ikuli, please come back again to be our guest lecturers. We would love to hear lots more from you and then learn lots more from you. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for Dr. Ikuli and also Dr. Arfan for being our outstanding, fantastic speakers for today, even though it's Ramadan and then you are all fasting at home, but your spirits and energy are really, really big, and then I still can feel your energy in my side here in East Java. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this time is come for the announcement for the best questions, and those questions will get the door prizes, a very interesting door prizes, and I promise that you will like it and then you will love it, and then we will deliver the door prize right to your home and you don't need to pay anything. So the winners are, okay, the first winner is Ibu Linggar. So congratulations for Ibu Linggar for being our first winner, and then interesting door prize will be sent right straight to your house. And then the second winner is, all right, it's a girl again. So it's a girl power for today. So the second winner is Bilkis. So congratulations for Bilkis for being our second winner. And then the third winner, finally, it's a boy. So it's a gentleman. So the winner is Sola. So congratulations for Sola. Congratulations for Ibu Linggar, Bilkis, and Sola for winning the door prizes. And then please be contactable to the committee. The committee will ask your address details, and then they will send the door prizes to your house. So approaching to the end of our development talk volume 4, I would like to conclude a conclusion from the speakers 1 and speaker 2. So generally we learned that technology is a tool to reach change and development through communication. Learning itself is a change and developing. Communication is a learning process. I quote this statement from Dr. Ikoli presentation, and I think that this really concludes very well from his presentation. And then from his presentation, we learned about design principle to prototype. For example, a tablet-based DFFS is the result of a long design process. And we learn a lot of practical and also in theoretical basis from the projects that Dr. Rico and his colleagues is doing in Sierra Leone, Mongolia, and Indonesia, especially in Sulawesi. And from Dr. Arfan presentation, we learned several theories to help us understanding about technology acceptance in smart farming. We also learned about smart farming and its technology scope. As we know, Indonesia is agrarian country, so smart farming is indeed very useful to be potentially applied in Indonesia. And yeah, we learned a lot about theories and practical basis in understanding technology acceptance in smart farming. And he provided several examples in Korea, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Middle East. So that's all from the conclusion. And thank you very much for the audiences, ladies and gentlemen, from ITS and also from non-ITS participants, and for the social mapping class and for the human Human and Living Space class. Don't forget to submit your assignment. It's individual assignments, and submit it in my ETS classroom. Don't forget about it, about this today's session for Development Talk Volume 4. So after all, thank you very much for Dr. Ikuli and Dr. Arfan Fahmi for giving very outstanding, fantastic presentation. I cannot thank you enough for your contribution and your sharing, and always inspiring us all across Indonesia here. And thank you, Dr. Ikuli. I know that it's morning in your side, and happy Monday, and have a great day ahead this Monday. And for Dr. Arfan, let's get ready to break our fast, get ready to eat delicious food. Also for all the audiences in Indonesia who are Muslim and conducting fasting in this beautiful Ramadan. So thank you very much. That's all. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a